Hello and welcome to Monday night's Niall Fraser show. And tonight, something that probably wasn't on your bingo cards, Conor McGregor visiting the Whitehouse. We've got the accusation of sound weapons being used in Serbia against protesters, and we've got the changing face of warfare as depicted by a Russian strategic analyst. So we're going to cover all of these things and more, and we'll probably roll the sound weapons into the changing face of warfare situation. It'll probably be like an hour and a half show, I think, tonight. But the first thing we need to do is get this place jumping with the intro music, so enjoy. Hello and welcome to the Niall Fraser show. And you might be asking, why have you not been on the last few days? And sometimes I feel like there's no much to talk about. I didn't want to come on stream and just talk about nothing for the sake of being on stream, if you know what I mean. So, I've picked out a few of the news stories across the globe today, and I wanted to zone in on what's ticked the boxes for me. And the first on the docket this evening, someone that would not have been in your bingo cards, Conor McGregor visiting the White House. And he said some it's not exactly prophetic, But he said, I think this will resonate with Irish people quite a lot. And of course, he's appealing to the Irish Americans as well, of which there are a massive, massive number. So thanks again for joining us on this Monday evening, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you very much. We're going to get battered right into the stories. We're not going to waste any time. And we're going to have a sort of extended segment on the sound weapons topic, a topic that I'm very, very interested in. So we'll look at the bookmarks, we'll check the bookmarks out, and we'll get Conor McGregor up. What the hell is Conor McGregor doing in the Whitehouse, you saying? Well, let's find out. So here's the long extended interview, right? We'll watch this, and then we'll go into some of the other sort of bookmarks I've got here. But this is, I mean, this will resonate with Irish people as well. I mean, he's saying what we've been saying for the last however long, that Ireland is being swamped by migrants. Swamped. Whole towns suddenly outnumbered. Jay in with the first comment. All right, everybody. Thanks for the comment, Jay. We are battering on. You know, this Irish thing, we've been sort of talking about it for the last... Well, it's almost like we don't really talk about Ireland enough when it comes to immigration. We're sort of focused in on the United Kingdom, but Ireland is facing its own problems, and I think this is what we sort of escaped by Brexit. Even though Brexit was done, it was fumbled, heroically fumbled. I think we've still managed to escape the grunt of the EU's requirements. And the EU, I think, is really doing a number on the Irish. And they're suffering the consequences of still being in the EU. But let's hear what Conor McGregor's saying in the White House.
Yeah.
Where can you stay here?
Yeah.
Where can you stay
Definitely.
Hey, Conor.
Oh. Hey.
Hey, Hey, Conor, first of all, did you get some time with President Trump? And also, I know there's some Irish immigrants in the U.S. without status. What do you think should happen to them?
The Irish immigrants?
Some recent Irish immigrants without status.
Are we taking questions?
Taking over the podium.
Ireland and America, we are siblings. We consider America our big sibling. So it's important for Ireland to have be a peaceful, happy, prosperous country for the 40 million Irish Americans to have a place to visit, to come back to their home. So we wish for our relationship with the United States to continue, and we wish to be taken care of by the big bro. You know, the United States should look after its little bro, and that's how we feel.
How about the trade? What about there's some trade disputes between the U.S. and the EU, and how do you think?
We wish exemption.
Hey, we actually have some stuff that we
I will
have to
say,
do right now.
Connor is here to meet with the president. He'll be meeting with him later this afternoon. We couldn't think of a better guest to have with us on St. Patrick's Day. We're both wearing our green. This was not planned, but very festive. And as you know, I'll be having a briefing later at 1 o'clock. So we'll talk more about their meeting later. But he's going over to meet with some other administration officials. He's spending the day in Washington, D.C.
For sure.
So
I'm here to raise
fun.
the issues that people of Ireland face. You know, and it'll be music to the people of Ireland's ears, because never on the main stage has the issues the people of Ireland face been spoke. You know, our government has long since abandoned the voices of the people of Ireland, and it's high time that America is made aware of what is going on in Ireland. What is going on in Ireland is a travesty. Our government is the government of zero action with zero accountability. You know, our money is being spent on overseas issues that has nothing to do with the Irish people. The illegal immigration racket is running ravage on the country. There are rural towns in Ireland that have been overrun in one swoop, that have become a minority in one swoop. So issues need to be addressed. And the 40 million Irish Americans, as I said, need to hear this, because if not, there will be no place to come home and visit.
See, we'll get it back to... I mean, it almost sucks the air out of the room when he's saying this. It really does. For me, it does, at least. And he's absolutely correct. I mean, let's go back. Let's go back. But you know, he's quite happy to be talked about. But when it comes down to protecting Ireland, he really he changes mode. You'll see a sudden shift in Conor McGregor here, because I mean you can tell that he just cares about Ireland and he cares about his people. You can tell, and he shifts into a different mode, doesn't he? And you'll see it. It's not even exactly subtle. What's Jay saying in the comments? Some news for you. For the African refuge tried to rob old woman with a Stanley knife to Friday afternoon in Motherwell precinct at a cash line. He got caught. Wow. If you've got any links to that story, Jay, put it in the comments. We'll cover that as well. That's new for me. I've never heard about that. Thanks for the news, even though it is quite horrendous news. But let's look at this shift in Conor McGregor here. You look at it, he's like a proudest punch here. And when he talks about Ireland, you can see a shift in his mood.
About their meeting later, but he's going over to meet with some other administration officials. He's spending the day in Washington, D.C.
For sure.
So
I'm here to
it'll be
raise
fun.
the issues that people of Ireland face.
Yes.
You know, and it'll be music to the people of Ireland's ears, because never on the main stage has the issues the people of Ireland face been spoke.
That's very true as well. See his mood change here. See the mood change. It's undeniable, the change in mood. So, you know, never on the main stage has the issues of the Irish people been spoke. You know, they're getting swamped by migrants at the moment. Absolutely swamped. Their demographics are being changed irrevocably if they don't start a very similar campaign of mass deportations like America's doing. Trump's just signed 700,000 deportation warrants. Whether or not they'll be fixed, whether or not they'll be deported, is up for another day. They've even got an app where you can self-deport yourself. So it's interesting times over in America, to say the least. But look at the mood change on Conor McGregor here. From here to when he starts speaking about Ireland. Let's do it.
About their meeting later, but he's going over to meet with some
And you'll feel the air getting sucked out the room. Thanks, Jay. Don't worry about your spelling. So you'll feel the air getting sucked out the room when he says whole towns are getting outnumbered, basically. But look at the mood change in Conor McGregor here, and I think this sort of speaks volumes in itself. Just the candor he takes when he starts talking about Ireland.
other administration officials. He's spending the day in Washington, D.C.
For sure.
So
I'm here to
it'll be
raise
fun.
the issues that people of Ireland face.
Yes.
You know, and it'll be music to the people of Ireland's ears, because never on the main stage has the issues the people of Ireland face been spoke. You know, our government has long since abandoned the voices of the people of Ireland, and it's high time that America is made aware of what is going on in Ireland. What is going on in Ireland is a travesty. Our government is the government of zero action with zero accountability. You know, our money is being spent on overseas issues that has nothing to do with the Irish people. The illegal immigration racket is running.
You hear the feel the air getting sucked out the room here.
There are rural towns in Ireland that have been overrun in one swoop, that have become a minority in one swoop.
You can feel a pin drop. You could hear a pin drop when he says that.
There are rural towns in Ireland that have been overrun in one swoop, that have become a minority in one swoop. So issues need to be addressed, and the 40 million Irish Americans, as I said, need to hear this.
That's dangerous. It's very dangerous. This will be music to the ears of the Irish. This, and of course we've got this famous connection between Ireland and America. This very, very famous connection, and a lot of Irish migrants moving over to the United States for, you know, a shot at the American dream, so to speak. But you can see it in his face there. He's gravely concerned. You know, if you've got bad things to say about Conor McGregor, go ahead and say them. Don't really care. But it doesn't change what he's saying here to be totally valid.
It's the government of zero action with zero accountability. You know, our money is being spent on overseas issues that has nothing to do with the Irish people. the illegal immigration racket is running ravage on the country. There are rural towns in Ireland that have been overrun in one swoop, that have become a minority in one swoop.
And how devastating is that? Just say you live in just say if you're Scottish, most of them have viewers will be Scottish. If you're living in the island of Arran, to say, if you can manage to get a ferry across, but then they just dump 2,000, 3,000 migrants in Arran, outnumbering the population. What kind of effect would that have? This is what's happening right across Ireland, and nobody's batting an eye. And of course, the government are just clamping down on anyone that has opposition to this. Just like Keir Starmer's clamping down on these so-called far-right protesters. But let's just hear it again. Towns are being outnumbered in one swoop, he says. One swoop.
People. The illegal immigration racket is running.
And a racket is what it is as well. It's a racket. People are making money hand over fist. If you've got a hotel and you want to give it to the government, you can charge double or triple, whatever you want. They'll come in, they'll manage the whole project, and you won't need to worry about money for the rest of your life. This is the racket, and of course you've got the racket all the way up. Immigration lawyers. You've got, right for the beginning, you've got the human trafficking element right at the start, all the way into hotel rooms. There's a racket.
On the country, there are rural towns in Ireland that have been overrun in one swoop, that have become a minority in one swoop. So issues need to be addressed, and the 40 million Irish Americans, as I said, need to hear this, because if not, there will be no place to come home and visit.
And this is it. I mean, we'll get this off the screen now, but we've got another wee video of Conor McGregor in the White House.
I guess you want to do one. I shoot. It's one of my own. I guess you want to do one. I tell you what, your work ethic is inspiring. Your work rate is inspiring.
I mean, look, Conor McGregor is absolutely in love here. Good evening, Scorpion. Thank you for joining us this evening. He's absolutely in love. You can't help but be grinning ear to ear meeting Trump. Can't help it. But what he's saying, your work ethic is inspiring. Today, I became a Conor McGregor fan as well, Scorpion. Again, I think the anti-immigration sentiment is, well, if it wasn't already growing really fast in Ireland, it's reached a point where, almost to the point where we're at here in the UK, where people are voting far more right, and I don't mean far right, just far more to the right than they normally would. I mean, it used to be, we'd vote Tories if we wanted to be on the right. I do hope so. But the Tories shown themselves just to be a part of the Unity Party, a part of the establishment, that were not willing to make the necessary changes to immigration. So, I mean, you can see Conor McGregor here having the time of his life saying Trump's work ethic is inspiring.
It's one of my own. I guess you want to do one. I tell you what, your work ethic is inspiring. Your work rate is inspiring.
He loves it. He absolutely loves it. So does Conor McGregor. Absolutely loves it. But let's look at an article that I pulled back. And it's quite an old article. May 12th last year. So we're almost approaching the sort of anniversary of this article here. Here's why Ireland is at boiling point over mass immigration. And I mean, fast forward a year, it's even worse, right? This is a year ago. It's at boiling point a year ago. Immigration in Ireland has more than doubled over the last 20 years, with 22% of the population now made up of non-citizens. That is absolutely insane numbers. More than a fifth, more than 1 in 5 people are now recent migrants. It's just incredible when you think about the numbers here. There's a video here. Well, I wonder if it'll play.
I'm going.
So I think you get the point, ladies and gentlemen. How very similar is this to what's happening in the UK? How very similar does it need to be? It's a mirror image of what's happening. It's not even just the UK. It's of course. I mean, we talk about it all the time on the show. I'm sick to the back teeth of talking about it. It's just this never-ending spree, this never-ending onslaught of migrants into the West is destabilizing the West in such a crazy way. It's societal cancer, this mass immigration. And it needs to be stopped. It needs to be rooted out immediately. I think, see across the West, I think the UK should probably be first to there. There needs to be a full stop on immigration. A full stop. And when I say full stop, I mean not one more person allowed in the UK. Not one more. Legal or illegal. Not one more person gets in. That's how extreme my view is on this. Not one person gets in until we get a handle on the people here. Not one person gets in. That's what I think should happen. I think Ireland is heading the same way. France is heading the same way. Basically, the entirety of Europe is heading the same way. And you'll see it. I mean, AfD smashing the elections over in Germany. It just gets worse and worse for the countries. And how many more mass stabbings are we going to take? How many more vehicular terror attacks are we going to see? How many more crimes by migrants are we going to endure before we actually do something? And it's like they want. It's almost like they want to stoke up vigilantism, isn't it? I mean, how long can people sit back? And the one that got me as well was the one that was happened in Falkirk. I mean, that's too close to home. And Jay's talking about one that happened in Motherwell Precinct. An African refugee tried to rob an old woman with a Stanley knife, he's saying. Let's see if there's anything on the news about that. 2 seconds, guys. Refugee robbing. I can't see anything in the news, Jay, but if you can find me something, that'd be fantastic. We'll read through the rest of this article and then we'll get on to the main points. I think the main point I want to be making today is about the sound weapons. And it sort of does dovetail into this, because how do you deal with a mob? How do you deal with a mob? How will the government deal with a mob? Well, we will discuss that later on. Irish government's unwavering commitment. Unwavering commitment. Who was it that made that commitment? Was it the Irish people? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. Unwavering commitment to housing and feeding an unprecedented influx of migrants in the wake of a severe housing and cost of living crisis has brought the Irish electorate to a boiling point. It's many similarities to the migrant crisis in the US. Absolutely. Absolutely. Hundreds of protesters in towns have sprung up around the country with people calling on the government to end what they say is an open borders globalist agenda that is putting the needs of migrants ahead of the citizens, many of whom are struggling to pay for everyday items and are unable to buy or rent homes as Ireland's homelessness numbers skyrocket. Isn't this the exact same thing that's happened right across the West? It's a campaign of destabilisation by flooding in migrants for sub-Saharan Africa, for Somalia, for the Sudan, for the Middle East, from everywhere they can possibly get them, and put them into Western societies, which their culture is antithetical to. It does not, they do not merge. They're incohesive. They don't join up. Their cultures do not conform to the values of the West. And, when I was thinking about it as well, the punishments that we've got here for migrants, just say it's this one J is mentioned, an African refugee, he goes up and he tries to rob an old woman with a Stanley knife at a cash point in Motherwell. What would be our punishment for that? Suspended sentence. Maybe did they know? The African refugee, did they know that he couldn't just go up and rob old women at the cash point? He didn't know. We have to be sympathetic to the cultural heritage of this African. He didn't know that you weren't allowed to rob old women at cash points. So what would be our punishment for that? Well, I would say the punishment is so different to what he would have faced in his country of origin that it doesn't deter future crimes. So if this guy says, if we're not punishing these acts severely, and I mean by severely, like I'm in Africa, but they might have just chopped his hand off for trying to rob someone. That's a punishment. So when they get here and they try to rob an old woman at knife point, and the punishment is suspended sentence, basically nothing, then it's a green light to go again. It's a green light to do it again. It's no punishment. It's no punishment at all. Do you see where I'm going? Excuse me. Several high-profile crimes linked to migrants. Again, just sort of, and it has to be put in context here. We're flooding the country with migrants when we are at we're in an economic doom spiral. We're almost at the bottom of this doom spiral. And right on top of everything, we get huge influx of migrants who seemingly just get everything. Several high-profile crimes linked to migrants have also driven fear into the native citizenry, culminating in a shocking knife attack on young children and their teacher by an Algerian-born Irish citizen in November that triggered rioting and looting. And we remember that one. And this was where I thought that maybe the Irish were really, really, really going to take justice into their own hands. And believe you me, it won't be long before people start to take justice into their own hands here. Remember, we get riots not all the time, but after the Southport attack, what happens? That people are outraged and they want justice because they know that they won't get it in the British state. What should have happened? Well, you'll see it all the time in the Muslim community. When one of their own ends up getting jailed or or something bad happens to them, they'll all just form a mob outside the police station. That's what they'll do. And to great success. Things are changed immediately. We don't do the same, do we? Those who want immigration laws enforced and numbers reduced say they're being ignored by the political establishment. No, that's an understatement. They're not only are they being ignored, they're being spat upon. They're being told diversity is your strength. Diversity is your strength. They're not even being ignored, they're being spat on. They're being told, stop being ignorant plebs. That's what they're told. Ireland is a tinderbox at the moment. Irish journalist Fatima Gunning told Fox News Digital. At this point, I don't think anything would surprise me. On Monday, thousands of protesters carrying Irish flags rioted in Dublin, calling for an end to mass immigration and demanding the new nationalist government take its place. Chants of "get them out" in reference to the government echoed throughout the nation's capital, while other signs reading "Irish lives matter" and "under siege invasion," large banners reading "mass deportations and end the plantation" hung from a bridge. I do have an email, but I'm not going to pop it on the show, Jay. What you can do is DM me it if you can, and I'll get it open. You'll find me on Niall Fraser 8 on Twitter. Anyway, protesters say they represent the silent majority of the electorate, around 75% based on polls who say immigration is too high and the country is taking in too many refugees. And here's some pictures of Ireland, and it's just absolute devastating. I mean, it's tent cities over there. But we get it. It's the same everywhere. I don't really need to read. I mean, the images are quite startling. These tents right along the canal. What's going on? They're turning our countries into shitholes. They're turning our countries into shitholes. And you know, we'll get this removed now. And I'll get myself up. Hold on a minute. Where am I? Where am I? Oh, there I am. Here I am. Here I am. I've long since thought, you know, if you can't raise other countries up to the Western standards, and thinking from a globalist perspective, that is, if you're a globalist, you want customers right from around the world. You want this sort of amalgamous blob of customers if you're a corporation. You know what I mean? No discernible race, no discernible creed, no discernible religion. You just want some sort of amorphous blob of people that you can control. And the way to do that, it isn't by raising the standard of these third world nations, African nations, the Middle East, whatever it is. You don't raise them up to the Western standard. No, that's too hard. That's too hard. It's too difficult. It's too long a process. So what you do is you just flood the Western nations with third worlders, people with cultures that do not what's the word? They don't integrate. They don't work. They don't go with the Western nations' cultures. They just clash. They're too different. They're too different. So you don't raise other countries up. You don't raise the third world up to the first world standard. No. That's too hard. That's too difficult. The easier way to do it is to lower the standard of the Western world. And what quicker way to do that than to destabilize them all, to make them crime-ridden hellholes by flooding them with migrants from all over the world. That's how you do it. And it's working a treat, ladies and gentlemen. It's working a treat. We just seem to be getting worse and worse every single day. The one that stuck with me recently. Here we go. We'll share this tab. I'll bring this up. Accept. Right, okay. A vile, and this is for GB News. Sadiq Nickzad is now set to be deported from Britain when his sentence comes to an end. Why are we paying for him to be in jail here? Send him back now. Send him back now. Why are we paying for it? A vile Afghan asylum seeker, in quotation marks, exactly, has been found guilty of raping a 15-year-old schoolgirl after spotting her alone in a town centre. And this is Falkirk, ladies and gentlemen. This is right in the central belt. And I've been told other things about Falkirk, and I think we might do an investigation as well. Sadiq Nickzad approached a girl in Falkirk, Stirlingshire in October 2023, 2 years ago, when he asked for her phone number and whether she had a boyfriend, the High Court in Edinburgh heard. He made sexual remarks towards the teenager before leading her behind a nearby pub where he attacked and raped her. Fucking hell. Nickzad denied raping the girl, but was yesterday found guilty by jury following trial. And here's Falkirk High Street here. The Afghan national is now set to be deported from Britain when his sentence ends. Why? Which his sentence not even been set yet. His victim had been walking along the town's high street after collecting a prescription when she was approached by the migrant. She told jurors, "This is a person I have genuinely never seen before." The girl said she understood that English was not his first language and that it was quite hard to decipher what he was trying to say. During the assault on her, she said she froze and was quite shook. And I knew I needed to get help as soon as possible, but I didn't really have anything in me to just push him off. If he were to look, he would say I was very unhappy and scared. A woman who was walking to her car came across Nickzad's victim after the attack. The passerby said, "As I crossed the road, when I saw the girl and the man coming out of the lane, and the girl came straight over to me. She was in a daze. She looked stunned. I knew something had gone wrong. She came to me for comfort. She said she kept telling the guy she was only 15. And this is the bit that just got me, this is just horrible. But this is what's happening right across. To think this guy, if you can have some empathy, one for the victim, but this is going to change their lives forever. This family. The girl's father told the court that she phoned him after the attack to tell him what happened, and when he saw her, she was terrified. I had never seen her in that state before. It's absolutely despicable, but we're killing our country here with this. It's horrible. It really is horrible. We need a figurehead in Scotland as well. We need somebody of Conor McGregor's stature. I don't think Scotland's got that person. I'm probably the closest thing. If people are being honest to, the closest thing that Scotland should have to a leader, it's actually me. And you might laugh at this, and people are probably not laughing actually. It's the closest thing Scotland's got to a leader, to an actual leader, is me. And I've been, ever since the 2021 election, I just never stopped campaigning. I never did. Because Scotland doesn't actually have a leader. You might look, John Swinney's the First Minister. He's not the leader, though. He's not leading Scotland. No. I'm leading Scotland. I'm leading Scotland from the back. I'm doing the hard work. It's me that's throwing the punches. It's me that's leading by example. It's me that's taking the war to the transgender ideology. It's not just me that's taking the war to the migrant hotels, but it's it's who else is standing up at the so-called far right rally? You know what I mean? It's the closest thing Scotland's got to a leader is actually me. And that's saying a lot. That is saying a lot. And it's sorry times that I have to say that. But it is. It's true. John Swinney's not going to do anything. Full on John's not going to do anything to help us. John's leading Scotland down the garden path, says Dominic. Absolutely is. And if we were to put our leader hat on for a minute, if I was ever named First Minister of Scotland, if I was to put my leader hat on for a minute, all the migrant hotels get shut down immediately. And I don't care about what laws they say. You can't do that. We'll just watch us do it. Watch us do it, and then we'll take whatever consequences come our way in terms of legal eagles. We don't care. The migrant hotels stop immediately, and everyone in them gets moved away and out of Scotland. Every migrant hotel that goes down, whether it's Aberdeen, Dundee, Falkirk, Perth, whatever it is, it's endangering our people. Scots are being endangered unnecessarily by the imposition of these hotels. Evidenced by this rape in Falkirk, evidenced by people getting chased off the Aberdeen beach. It's no safe. And all these university towns up and down Scotland, flooded with migrant hotels. What else would I do day one with my leader hat on? Well, all the trans ideology comes out the schools immediately. I ban phones across the board in all schools immediately. That's what needs to be done. But people are they're afraid to lead the conversation. We've got, the Scottish government, and I suppose the UK government as a whole, but it's like it's policy on, focus group. Where are our leaders actually leading? They're not leading. They're asking focus groups what they think and then going on. I know what I think. I know what I believe. I know what's right for Scotland. And it's all the migrant hotels need to go. Trans ideology needs to be stripped out of the schools. We need to get back to a sort of knowledge-based curriculum. And all phones should be banned for schools. And this is just day one. We need to open all the books in government and make it the most transparent government in the history of the universe. And I think if I was to be named leader of Scotland, I would be walking about with a camera on all day so you could have full transparency on what I was doing. Because this is what public trust is so diminished that the only way to sort of correct course is to have it's almost like more than full transparency, more than you could ever hope for in terms of transparency. And we need to go in the opposite direction. Whereas every move that I make, you can view it, you can listen to it, you can be in on all the meetings. That's what I think. Anyway, we're going to move topics for a bit. And we're going to talk about something that is quite, I've had this in my, I've not had it in my repertoire, that's not what I'm saying. I mean, I've been thinking about this for a long, long time. Sound weapons. And actually, humanity has been thinking about this for a long, long time. And we're going to discuss that a bit. But the famous, this comes out of the back of a few days ago. There is a protest in Serbia. And what is being accused, the Serbian government are being accused of doing, is using, deploying sound weapons on these protesters. And we'll have a look at what this actually looks like. So we'll get my wee face off the screen. And you tell me.
Go to artlist.io and get everything you need all in one place.
I should be getting ad revenue for showing that. So watch this, and you tell me, is that sound? So you see, at the start of this video, everyone's in the middle of the street. Everyone's in the middle of the street. Then you can hear some sort of high-pitched whistling sound. And the street just parts like the Red Sea. What sort of weapon do you think is capable of doing this? Have you ever seen a street parted in this way? Did you think it was possible that people could split so quickly and so uniformly? Let's get back to the bit where it splits. Sorry, guys, I've got this sort of weird picture-in-picture thing happening with the browser, so I'm sorry if it didn't. But look, you've got this high-pitched whistling sound. Opposition groups say the government used a military-grade sonic weapon, and we've been teased this type of technology for the longest time. And believe you me, sound weapons are the most powerful weapons on the planet. And I make no exaggeration when I say that. So you'll see this just a huge big wave of people just part like the Red Sea. And to me, it's clear this is a sound weapon. You don't have accusations of a sound weapon, and it's been used before. We've had these LRAD devices, and I'll see if I can get a YouTube video of an LRAD device. Let's see. So we'll bring up this one. This one's a bit better. We'll bring this one down. We'll share this page instead. So this is an experiment done. Listen to this.
Others caused $1 billion of damage to the boat. And they had all this firepower on board, but they didn't know who these people were, so they couldn't take any action. Well, the whole point with LRAD is it fills a critical gap. How do we determine if they're friendlies or not, if they're not responding to radio calls?
When I got in front of the device, I could immediately hear its effectiveness.
This is a test of the long-range acoustic device LRAD. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7.
All right, guys, I have to say, I'm a little worried walking up here like you're going to sneak in and turn it back on. Scott, you were the operator on that one.
Yes,
Thank
sir.
you. Right off the bat, first impression, I felt like there was a dude standing right here yelling in my ear, but it was really clear.
Here you have the back of the head unit where all the electronics are housed. You got the power switch you turn on. Power is activated by the control unit, which you have on opposition.
Right.
This is a standard MP3 player, so you can put whatever test files, any kind of audio media
Really?
on this
Okay,
MP3
okay.
player.
You will be given food, water, and medical attention.
Because it can broadcast effectively up to 2 miles away and very powerfully. You can mount it on helicopters, fly over and be able to broadcast messages to hopefully the people that you're trying to find. Cover a lot of area quickly rather than putting, in some cases, hundreds of people on the ground
Right.
in the bushes trying to find people. And then for suicide situations from bridges or buildings, fire departments in high-rise situations.
It can also be used more in a bit of an offensive or a defensive manner. How does that work for that?
Well, I think you're referring to our alarm tone capability of this. That's what's gotten most of the interest from people out there
Right.
on the other side. We really don't look at this as any kind of a weapon, non-lethal or otherwise.
And though reluctant to speak on camera, law enforcement officials stand behind LRAD.
The alarm tone is mostly used, especially in law enforcement applications, especially when protests get out of control or you get large crowds. And with LRAD that fills that.
Right. So you get the point. You get the point, ladies and gentlemen. I'll bring myself back up. You get the point. So these devices have been used for a long, long time. And sound weapons have been used for a long, long time. And I'm talking thousands of years ago. Now, let me explain. When did the walls of Jericho fall? The walls of Jericho fell on the 20th of April, 1400 BC. We're talking 3,400 years ago. And what did they? I mean, what happened? What happened with the walls of Jericho? If you don't know, we'll have a wee history lesson. What day did the walls of Jericho fall? On the seventh day, according to Joshua 6:1-27, the walls of Jericho fell after the Israelites marched around the city walls once a day for 6 days, 7 times on the seventh day, with the priests blowing their horns daily and the people shouting on the last day. And we'll look at some of the images that we have here. What are they using? Horns. Sound weapons, ladies and gentlemen. And there's the Ark of the Covenant in there. But they're using sound weapons 3,400 years ago. All the way up to today. All the way up. I'm hoping you can still see it. I've just got a warning thing on my screen there. But let's look at this image as well. This is from World War I, ladies and gentlemen. You ever seen a picture like this? Is this for detecting? Is this a weapon? Who knows? But then it takes me to another video of way back when. And this you will not have been expecting. David Bowie. And this, I think, the key to this video is that David Bowie he's on drugs on this interview. And I think he wasn't expecting the question. But the question's asked and he just answers the question. But let's see what's happening in this video. And if you haven't seen this one, this will be very enlightening to a lot of people. What is black noise? Black noise, ladies and gentlemen. Learn that term. Sorry, guys. For God's sake. Sorry, I keep switching tabs and it keeps bringing it down to picture in picture. Right, okay, I'm just going to watch it, right? What is black noise? Where did you ask that? He says. So he's on the defensive. He's on the defensive. David Boy's on the defensive. Where did you get that from? He says. What is black noise? Where did you get that from? And it's only because David Boy has been trained to know the power of sound. Thank you very much. What is your Twitter handle? And I'll bring it up. So what is black noise? Like it's a control bomb, he's saying, where you can crack. And everyone's heard the classic, you know, the opera singer that sings at a certain tone, a certain register that David Boy's saying, that cracks a glass. But he's also saying it can crack people, can crack cities, can crack cities like Jericho. No sound, he's saying. No sound. Let's see if we can change something here. I'll share this tab. What I'll do is I'll bring this down. I'll remove it. I'll bring myself back up. I'll stop sharing entirely. And then I will go back and present someone else. But we'll watch this full segment with David Boy. What is black noise, David?
What is black noise?
Black noise?
Yeah.
Black noise is something that Barrow's got very interested in.
Sorry, guys. The picture in picture is really annoying me.
Black noise.
Black noise?
Yeah.
Black noise is something that Barrow's got very interested in. It's
intriguing.
Well, no, it's one facet of black noise is that everything, like a glass, if an opera singer hits a particular note, the vibrations are that of the metabolism of the glass, and it cracks it. Yeah. So black noise is the register within which you can crack a city or people, or it's a new controlled bomb. It's a noise bomb, in fact, which can destroy.
Is it a real thing? I mean, is it something that's actually somebody's experimenting
it was invented
with?
in France.
Could a tyrant use it to?
Well, until last year, you could buy the patent for it in the French patent office for about equivalent to $3-4.
And it would wipe out it's concentrated.
It depends how much money you put into it. I mean, a small one could probably kill about half the people, but a big one could destroy a city, or even more. I mean,
it's a weird idea.
Don't look at it's not my idea.
No. Well, let's not give the instructions on how to do it. Can you recommend a good book to your fans? A good book?
What, this week? Apart from yours?
Oh, do I have a book out?
Yeah. Oh no, I walked into that.
No, I wondered if last thing I read, you said that Kerouac was important to you, but that's a long time back. What are you
Well, I
reading?
didn't say I'm reading Machiavelli.
You're reading Machiavelli?
No.
Oh. What would you read?
What am I reading?
What would we find on your coffee table in your apartment?
At the moment, mainly pictures. I bought Diane Arbus's book of photographs. It's a photographer that I like very much.
Could I ever do a walk-on in your show? I've got to know what it feels like to stand on stage in a big production thing like that. A cup of tea and a good book.
Blah, blah, blah.
Comes around, does theses on it.
Your son's name is Zoe Bowie.
Yeah.
Anyway, I hope you've heard it. No, it's working now. What is black noise? We'll just put it back to the start again. And he's saying up to a few years ago, you could buy this at a French patent office, whenever this video was done. You could buy this patent. So it's a very well-known thing, this. We'll see if we can search for Jay's handle. JM Giswell. Bear with me. It's easy. Well. Right. Right, you can now send me a picture. But the sound weapon thing, this has been in the public consciousness, or it's been hidden back in the public consciousness for a long, long time. Watch it again.
What is black noise?
Black noise.
Yeah.
Black noise is something that Burroughs got very interested in. It's
intrigued
well,
by
no,
it.
it's the one facet of black noise is that everything, like a glass, if an opera singer hits a particular note, the vibrations are that of the metabolism of the glass, and it cracks it. Yeah. So a black noise is the register within which you can crack a city or people, or it's a new controlled bomb. It's a noise bomb, in fact, which can destroy.
Is it a real thing? I mean, is it something that's actually somebody's experimenting with?
Why did you ask
Could a
that?
tyrant use it to...
Well, until last year, you could buy the patent for it in the French patent office for about equivalent to $3-4.
And it would wipe out it's concentrated.
It depends
sound
how
waves.
much money you put into it. I mean, a small one could probably kill about half the people, yeah, but a big one could destroy a city, or even more. I mean,
it's a weird...
There we go. There we go. From one of the world's most famous musicians. You'd think he knows a bit about sound and vibration, frequency, register, harmonics. You would think. And now it takes me to the sort of other... We're finished with the mass immigration stuff. We're finished with the walls of Jericho. And we'll see if Jay can send us a message. He's got the picture. He's got the picture. He says posted Motherwell, Friday, 1:30 p.m. African refugee holds up a woman at a cash point. Where's that in the news? Where's that in the news? Thank you so much for that, Jay, and I appreciate you having to join Twitter in order to share this information with me. Thank you very much. I do appreciate it. And if you do, give Jay a follow at GMZZWell. He's only got, well, it's just posted. He's got 2 followers already. One of them's me. Right. So now we're going to go on to our warfare section. And we'll spend the last half an hour talking about that. The changing face of warfare. Here we go. And this comes today. Century-long reign of machine gun is over, a Russian strategist argues. So we've went full sort of turn. Still trying to work out Twitter. It does take you a wee bit to get used to it, Jay, but it does grow on you after a while. I actually thought it was a lot more sort of intuitive than Facebook or Instagram or any other social medias. I thought it was way more intuitive, and you will get it eventually. But let's get into this. The century-long reign of the machine gun is over, a Russian strategist argues. And I don't think there's much arguing involved here. If you've seen what I've seen when it comes to the Ukraine conflict, it's all these drone videos of people getting grenaded from height. And it really is disgusting to watch. Doesn't feel like warfare at all. It feels like throwing people into a guillotine. Russian strategists has argued that small drones will replace infantry weapons such as mortars and machine guns. Russian strategists has argued that infantry weapons such as mortars and machine guns are obsolete. Obsolete, he says. He said he believes drones will replace them, making infantry units smaller and lighter. Light machine guns are the centerpiece of infantry squads. Infantry troops today typically carry machine guns, an automatic grenade launcher, mortars, anti-tank missiles. Yet, a Russian military strategist argues everything but their assault rifles is about to be functionally obsolete as infantry small units get lighter and faster. And this is where we're sort of moving, ladies and gentlemen. I can see the sort of mechanization of warfare happening. We've seen it happening right before our very eyes. These Boston Dynamic dogs. I don't know if any Black Mirror fans in the audience, in the gallery tonight. There is a Black Mirror episode, I think it's season 3, called Metalhead. Give that a watch. It's on Netflix. And the bit at the end really does get you, but it's like a full-on chase scene right from the start, and they're getting chased by these robot dogs, these Terminator dogs with machine guns and shotguns, and they're armed to the teeth. They've got grenades. And you can't reason with a robot. There is no humanity in the robot. And this is where I can see warfare sort of moving. To think that, everything but their assault rifles is going to be functionally obsolete. Wow. First-person view drones will essentially displace all group infantry weapons, all anti-tank weapons, and will take on most of the tasks of artillery, argues Ruslan Pukov, director of Moscow-based Center for Analysis and Strategies of Technology, a think tank, in an essay for the Russian state newspaper. Pukov said he believed that combat would be waged by squad-sized units comprising FPVs, attack drone operators, and infantry, backed by reconnaissance UAVs and electronic jammers. So the electronic jammers are going to be absolutely gold dust when it comes to warfare in the future. If you can jam your enemy's electronics, they can't use these attacks against you. Accordingly, the most important area of military affairs will also be the fight against enemy FPV drones, which is why these electronic jammers are going to be so valuable. He warned in a provocative reassessment of land warfare, what the drones can't reach, such as targets deep in the enemy rear, will be targeted by long-range guided missiles, he said. Since the First World War, when riflemen were decimating, assaulting enemy trenches and machine gun nests, the infantry have been armed with their own portable heavy weapons to reduce their dependency on artillery and other external fire support. Starting with light machine guns around 1915, grunts have been equipped with light mortars, anti-tank rocket launchers, grenade launchers, guided anti-tank missiles, and most recently, drones. Light machine guns, such as the US M249 squad automatic weapon made by FN Manufacturing, or the World War II German MiG-42, are the centerpieces of infantry squads. With their high rate of fire, they form a base of firepower for riflemen to maneuver. But these are typically direct fire weapons that require a line of sight to the target. The problem is that if you can see the enemy, they can see you, which invites counterfire. And we don't see much counterfire when it comes to the war in the Ukraine. All it is drones dropping grenades on the sorry souls below. Tactical drones, however, can be launched and operated from miles behind the front line, out of sight of the enemy. In Ukraine, troops don't maneuver much in the open anymore, especially in large groups. Instead, The combatants stay under the protection of their entrenchments while launching thousands of drones every day to patrol the front lines for targets, and what they spot is targeted with exploding drones and artillery. For centuries, line of sight fire was the basis for destruction in combat, and the foundation of tactics were built around ensuring the effectiveness of such fire. Now there is no need to see the enemy directly in front of you. Isn't that absolutely terrifying? They can theoretically be seen from any distance and destroyed with the same high accuracy. The survivability of remote dispersed platforms for destruction from close positions and their crews is much higher than any weapon for conducting line of sight fire. And we've got a US Marine with a drone. So I can imagine these drone companies will be putting out so many thousands of drones in a. The thought of infantry giving up their machine guns and mortars and relying exclusively on drones leaves American defense experts aghast. If someone had told me, hey, we'll give you all these drones and you've got to give up your 50 caliber and M240 machine guns, I would have told them they're crazy. Jan Gentile, a researcher at the RAND Corporation and retired US Army colonel who commanded armoured cavalry in Iraq. Drones are vulnerable to jamming and aerial attacks and are hampered by bad weather or smoke. An infantry squad whose only heavy weapons were drones would be putting all its eggs in one basket, but those eggs are expendable. Ukraine reported losing 10,000 drones in a month. Well, this is the thing. Is it better to lose 10,000 drones in a month than 10,000 people? Absolutely it is. Mostly to Russian jamming. A heavy machine gun that fires more than 100 rounds a minute, by contrast, makes two soldiers able to create a killing zone within 2,000 feet of their position. Pukov also said he believed drones and other indirect fire weapons have made tanks obsolete. All fire missions performed by a tank in combat can now be assigned to a much cheaper, more effective, and covert means of high precision destruction from closed positions. From FPV drones to guided artillery shells and tactical over-the-horizon missile systems, he wrote, citing weapons such as Israel's non-line of sight Spike tactical missile. He argues drones would replace artillery that are already capable of operating at the full range of artillery, he wrote. Indeed, FPV drones controlled by fibre optic cables, which can't be easily jammed, have been hitting targets 10 miles behind the front lines, which historically has been a zone covered by artillery. So what he's saying is absolutely correct here. In theory, this creates a devastating double punch. Massive numbers of cheap FPV drones can flood the front lines. Longer range weapons such as the American-made CMS ballistic missile with a 200-mile range, and HIMARS guided artillery rockets with a 50-mile range can hit targets further in the rear. But Gentile is dubious that small drones dropping small bombs or grenades are equivalent to the firepower of howitzers and multiple rocket launchers. The kind of mass effect that you can create with artillery is what enables the attacker to create decisive penetrations of enemy defences, who also believes that tanks can still be effective if properly supported by air defences and jammers. Still, most experts would agree that drones are transforming warfare. Pukov predicted that operations would devolve to the use of troops in small groups, subdivisions, and individual vehicles, dispersing them as much as possible, continuing. The impossibility of concentrating forces overturns all the foundations of military affairs. This has grave implications. The concentration of force is considered one of the basic principles of war. Great commanders such as Napoleon achieved stunning victories because they massed their troops where the enemy was weak. If Pukov is right, and the future is highly dispersed operations by small units, then armies may have difficulty achieving decisive results. Yet the history of military affairs suggests the dominance of drones might be fleeting. The longbow, the armoured knight, and the tank all seemed ascendant for a time until some other weapon or tactic ended their reign of terror. Drones have revolutionised warfare, but they won't be the last revolution. Interesting article. And it's I mean, we've sort of known this for the longest time. I'll get myself back up. We've sort of known this, and if you'd been following the sort of the videos that are coming out of the Ukraine conflict, you'll have seen all these drone footage on both sides, on the Russian side and the Ukrainian side, of people getting blown apart by drones in the air. And to me, it doesn't feel like warfare. It doesn't. It feels like we're just throwing people into the meat grinder, throwing people into the guillotine for some faceless drone operator to drop a grenade on you and blow your legs off. So it's this won't be the end. And this is what he said there. Drones have revolutionised warfare, but they won't be the last revolution. And I think we're sort of moving into this mechanised area, and it's sort of come off the back of, somebody in the UK government saying that if we were to go into World War III, we'd be conscripting people. Well, for what exactly? For what exactly? Wouldn't it be a more worthwhile effort if we were to just build loads of drones? Conscripting people to build drones instead, and jammers and robots, because we've exited the era of machine guns, according to this Russian strategic advisor. Interesting times, ladies and gentlemen. We've covered a few different things. We've had Conor McGregor sort of given the Irish people some hope that they're being listened to, that America is listening to them. He's talking from the most powerful podium on the planet in the Whitehouse, talking about the plight of the Irish people getting swamped and outnumbered in one swoop, he says. And I think this is a call for aid, it seems, from Conor McGregor for the Irish people. And I'm sure it'll be met with a lot of support in Ireland. I really do. And then we're talking about sound weapons used in Serbia, or the accusations that sound weapons have been used in Serbia. But, with the video, it seems like they were used. And these sound weapons can be very, very brutal indeed. I mean, historical uses of these sound weapons. But, people say that the LRAD, if you get too close to it, it feels like you're burning. It's a burning sensation. It's like a microwave, which is sort of an extrapolation of sound. It's a big vibration, isn't it? Microwaves of sound. And then, of course, we've had this changing face of warfare. Are these mechanized units gone? Are these Bandy Brothers type units with small machine guns and light machine guns over? The era of warfare is changing, and we've seen that. I've seen it firsthand in the last few years. As soon as the Ukraine conflict kicked off, we had all these videos of drones dropping grenades on people and the horrific injuries people are coming away with. And there's just the sheer hopelessness of it all. We're sitting in a trench 10 miles away and somebody drops a grenade on you. What are you going to do? There's nothing you can do. And then what? The Ukraine will just send out another person to take their place. Russia will just send out another person to take their place. To have another grenade fall on them. The whole thing's absolutely fucked, ladies and gentlemen. But that's been Monday Night Show. I'm sorry I didn't go too long tonight. I mean, I was going to talk about the sort of ferry fiasco in Scotland, but we're But we're all sick of that here in Scotland. The ferry situation's just, it's out of control. I think the Glen Sannox Hull's been repaired. For how long? Who knows? And now they've given the contract away. So Ferguson Marine's just, it's not fit for purpose. I don't even know why it was brought into public ownership, but if they weren't going to give it contracts and help it out. It's just crazy. But anyway, guys, I hope you've enjoyed tonight's Niall Fraser show. We'll be back on Wednesday unless things change. Hopefully we'll be in a more cheery mood. I think the whole war chat brings me down. It really does. And if you haven't seen that episode of Black Mirror, it's called Metalhead. Check it out. It's on Netflix. I think it's season 3. Really good watch. I think it's all done in black and white. It's almost like Schindler's List-esque. There's not all of it is black and white, but I mean, you'll get it when you watch it. Anyway, guys, it's been a fun night. I hope you've enjoyed it. Give me a subscription on YouTube. Fire over there. Try to migrate from Twitter onto YouTube for me. That would be good. Other than that, there's nothing left for me to say or do other than play our fantastic intro and outro music. So hope you have a great week ahead of you, and so long.